Krakow. The royal capital city of Krakow has a population of approximately 800,000 and is a centre of culture and science, boasting many universities, theatres, cinemas, art galleries, museums, clubs, an opera house and a concert hall. Krakow is the most visited city in Poland. It is a treasury of works of art, historical buildings, monuments and memorials. Each historical period left its mark on the city in the form of over 300 objects, like churches, squares and tenements, 10 of which are considered to be historic sites of outstanding universal value. The objects have survived all the historical cataclysms. In 1978, the historic centre of Krakow was added to the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites as one of the most precious sites in the world. The city has the oldest institution of higher education in Poland and one of the oldest in Europe, namely the Jagiellonian University. Krakow is also a place of work, a meeting place for outstanding artists and poets from all over the world, and a place for international scientific conferences and symposia. This city, which is over 1,000 years old, was the capital of Poland until the 17th century. The medieval buildings of the old town, some of which date back to the 10th and 11th centuries, have survived intact to this day. All this makes Krakow undoubtedly one of the most beautiful cities in Europe.
This is part of it. This is the square. Steven Spielberg made this famous scene from selection of Jews. I propose to read something information about this street. On the left side is the old synagogue, but in this quarter we have 4 synagogues, 1 cemetery. I'm going around to visit all this.
Okay. Isn't it lovely?
Now this quarter is good protected by the police because
Street.
in this building is the police
Since the 15th
station.
century,
Okay, yeah.
it has been the heart of Jewish
The most
Kazimierz.
protected street in the city.
The importance of the street is reflected in the fact that it had 4 synagogues, unseen anywhere else in Europe, a few prayer houses, a mikvah, 2 cemeteries, and a seat of kahal, which means government of a Jewish community. During World War II, the so-called Nagorce synagogue was destroyed. That is why currently there are only 3 synagogues: the Old Synagogue, the Wolf Popper Synagogue, and the Remu Synagogue. There are also many stylish restaurants here, inspired by the Jewish tradition and culture. Szeroka Street was also chosen by Steven Spielberg to reconstruct Plac Zgody, Concord Square, the central square of the Krakow ghetto, in his movie Schindler's List.
The synagogue and the oldest
The Remu Synagogue and Cemetery. The synagogue was founded in 1553 by a wealthy Jew from Regensburg, Israel Isserles Auerbach. The name of the synagogue derives from the name of the founder's son, philosopher Moses Isserles, also called Remu. He was the rabbi of Krakow and an outstanding world-famous codifier of the Ashkenazic law.
Hummus and happiness.
The Hebrew inscription on the gate reads, "The new synagogue of the Remu, of blessed memory." The synagogue was also called New, as it was the second one built in Kazimierz.
Oh yeah, lovely.
At present, it is the only operational prayer house of Krakow's Jews, apart from the occasionally used temple synagogue. Beside the synagogue, there is a cemetery called Remu. The first burials were made here in 1552. There are graves of famous Jewish rabbis here, including Remu himself, who is believed to be a miracle worker. Jews make pilgrimages to his grave and lay pieces of paper with written requests around the tombstone. During World War II, Nazis turned the cemetery into a waste dump. Fortunately, prudent Jews managed to cover most of the graves with soil, which protected them from being destroyed.
Okay.
The Temple Synagogue.
Synagogue.
The synagogue
Temple.
was erected in 1860 to 1862 through a design by Ignacy Herzog. There are two black marble tablets of Moses set in the wall above the main entrance. The facades feature carved quotes from the
this is
Torah
the
in Hebrew.
entry is here.
Lovely.
The synagogue is also referred to as progressive because the prayers
all days
held
is
there
open.
had a
All days.
revolutionary
Yeah.
character
10 to 6
and were
o'clock.
similar to Christian ones.
Yeah, it looks nice.
It's quite simple.
Women were allowed to pray together with men,
Jewish
and
church,
sermons were
isn't it?
given in Polish and German.
Yeah. For
All of
Jewish.
this was forbidden in Orthodox synagogues. Today, the Temple Synagogue is the venue for concerts inaugurating the annual Jewish Culture Festival. The history of Krakow's Jews. The persecution of Jews began shortly after Germany invaded Poland in September 1939.
Typical
Jews
door.
were made to
Typical
perform
door.
forced labor
From
and
metal
wear
door.
identification
Yes,
armbands.
it's original.
Before the
It's
outbreak of the
absolutely
war,
original.
Krakow was populated by approximately 65,000 Jews. 48,000 of them had to leave the city during forced resettlements.
Crazy.
The
isn't
rest
it?
were locked in the ghetto. On the night of the 31st of May to the 1st of June 1942, 5,000 Jews were sent to the extermination camp in Belzec. It was nicknamed the May Resettlement. After that, Jews were regularly sent to camps. In October 1942, another 5,000 people, including the ill and children, were transported to Belzec, and 6,000 were sent on foot to Płaszów. The ghetto was liquidated on the 13th and 14th of May 1943. About 1,000 Jews lost their lives in drastic circumstances, and the remaining ones were sent to the camps in Płaszów and Auschwitz. During the existence of the ghetto, resistance groups were formed like the Jewish Combat Organization, which won the support of the Polish Underground National Army. Unlike in Warsaw, there was no uprising in the Krakow ghetto before its liquidation. In Krakow, the Holocaust claimed about 65,000 victims. Only about 1,000 Jews survived. Platz Nowy, the new square.
I show you from
The
another.
square,
Thank you.
commonly known as the Jewish Square, was before the war and still is a trading place. In the centre of the square, there is a round marketplace building called Okrąglak. The building was once a ritual
From here, I
poultry
show you from this
slaughterhouse.
part.
Trade flourishes here mostly on
better,
weekend
yes?
mornings.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
lovely.
From here is better.
There one can buy antiques and religious cult articles. The square is surrounded by original
Got some
pubs and
history.
restaurants of a unique character.
So the front of us in the left side is High Synagogue. Is the oldest synagogue in this quarter from 1556.
The High
1556.
Synagogue. The synagogue was erected in 1556 to 1563 as the third of the synagogues in Kazimierz. It owes its name to the unusual location of the main prayer hall on the first floor. The location was motivated by security reasons, as the Jews were afraid of the proximity of the main gate to Kazimierz town, which was a busy place full of hustle and bustle, situated close to Christian properties. The synagogue was sumptuously decorated, but unfortunately, most of the furnishing vanished in the second half of the 17th century
This one,
during the
left
Swedish raid. Any surviving items were stolen during World War II. Despite the damage, the Holy Ark Aron Kodesh has survived and constitutes an original feature of the synagogue.
Concurrence.
The ground floor of the building also houses a stylish bookshop, selling books in various languages, mainly related to the
luxurious
Jewish
solution.
culture.
On the right side, this is a school, but in the Second War was the Gestapo prison from Krakow.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but all this building was the Gestapo prison. Side is the oldest tram station in Krakow. Lovely. It's completely original.
This
From
old
19
tram
from
station.
1912, with very big collection inside of the oldest tram, and this tram coming out from this oldest
from them
tram
doors.
line and going around the old town. Number 0, you remember, because around the old town. Original part of this tram station, and here on the right and the left side together was beautiful, yes. And this part is Congress Hall, Congress with restaurant.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, nice.
And in front of us, on the right side, the symbol of this community, Christian-Jewish community. Together with beautiful synagogues, we have in the same quarter most beautiful Gothical Catholic church.
Yeah.
And one of these is here.
Lovely building, aren't they? Yeah, look at that.
The Church of Corpus Christi. The church is one of the most splendid Gothic buildings in
Is it?
Krakow. According
Wow.
to tradition, Casimir the Great decided to build the church after thieves miraculously found communion bread together with a monstrance from All
Yeah,
Saints
it is.
Church there.
Beautiful.
The thieves thought that the monstrance was made of gold, and when they realized their mistake, they abandoned
No
the
guts as
spoil
well.
on the nearby marshes. For a few days, the place was surrounded with a glow.
All
When the
right,
news
yeah.
got to the bishop, he ordered propitiatory prayers and a procession. The monstrance was recovered from the marshes and taken back to the church from which it was stolen. King Casimir made vows that he would erect a temple there in the honor of Corpus Christi, holy body of Christ. The sumptuous decor of the interior of the church features a monumental main altar by Tommaso Dolabella, with a peculiar boat-shaped Baroque pulpit adorned with figures of mermaids. Among the curiosities of the church is a punishment cell, situated beside the entrance to the building, where those who broke the 6th commandment, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," were kept.
So, in the right side is the city hall. Why? Because this quarter before was independent city, different city.
Oh, okay.
This was Kazimierz town. It's town. It's in Renaissance time.
Kazimierz Town Hall. The building served as town hall in the times when Kazimierz was a separate town. It was an administrative, financial and legal centre, while the cellars of the building were used as a prison. The town hall was built in the 15th century, and then in the following centuries it was rebuilt in the Renaissance style. At the beginning of the 19th century, the town of Kazimierz was incorporated into Krakow, and the town hall was converted into a Jewish school, which operated until 1949. Since the end of World War II, the hall has housed the oldest ethnographic museum in Poland. Visitors can acquaint themselves with the life, customs and material culture of the people of the Krakow area and ethnic minorities.
So, in the left side, in my opinion, the most beautiful Gothical church in Krakow. Splendid, yes?
Yes.
What do you think about this?
Lovely.
It's fantastic, lovely.
Oh, it's incredible.
It's incredible. St. Catherine's Church, every 2 November, Philharmonica make here a concert Requiem from Mozart.
Oh, nice.
It's wonderful. Very, very beautiful. Inside is wonderful.
St. Catherine's Church.
It's wonderful.
It is one of the largest Gothic buildings in Krakow, the construction of which was begun in 1343 by Casimir the Great. According to legend, the ruler was criticized by the priest Marcin Barichka for his immoral conduct. This aroused the anger of the monarch, who ordered the drowning of the priest in the Vistula River. Yet, to avoid the fate of Bolesław the Generous, he did it discreetly, and to atone for his sin, he ordered for a church to be built in the place where the priest's body was recovered. The building was destroyed several times during its turbulent history, but fortunately, the fine, soaring silhouette of the church and many precious relics have survived to this day. The church is connected to the cult of Saint Rita, who is the patron of difficult and hopeless causes, and holds a monthly service in her honor.
On the left side is the oldest private hospital in Krakow, together with church and pharmacy. This building is very important for me because my wife is medical doctor, she's at work. So, in front of us, very particular bridge. If you remember the scene from Schindler's List, with this bridge coming the Jews from Jewish quarter to the ghetto.
Okay.
This original bridge from 1912.
Nice.
The river cuts through Krakow and surrounds Wawel Hill. Next to the hill, there is Wisła Riverside, a popular place for refreshing walks on a hot summer's day. The Vistula River also runs through Warsaw and Gdansk, past which it meets the sea.
Refreshing. I propose to listen something information about life in the ghetto. 2 years was the ghetto from 1941 to 1943, and after was liquidated again. All prisons was going to Auschwitz.
Life in the ghetto. It was a run of misery, density and hunger in isolation from the world. Diseases decimated the population. Those who risked getting out of the ghetto in search of food and medications were often caught and sentenced to death by firing squad. Despite the conditions, the dwellers of the ghetto did not expect such a tragic end. The ghetto was bathed in blood because the Nazis carried out massacres during the selection of people for the extermination camps. Yet even under these circumstances, heroism and resistance prevailed. The most known example of this was the Eagle Pharmacy, run by Tadeusz Pankiewicz. Such monuments and exhibitions continue to remind us of the unspeakable suffering endured by so many human beings, and hopefully serve to ensure both that such atrocities should never happen again, and that the memory of those who perished lives on.
Very nice church in the right side. Look on the right side.
Oh, wow.
Its design dates back to the first half of the
That's
19th
an impressive
century.
building.
The border of the ghetto and one of its 4 gates were located in the place where Podgórski Square intersects with Limanowski Street. Until the middle of the 20th century, the square served as a trading place. A town hall with an abundance of architectonic and sculptural detail was built here at the same time as the square. The finial of the facade features the coat of arms of Podgórze town, which in 1915 was incorporated into Krakow. The town hall, which was part of the ghetto, housed the headquarters of the Jewish community government. Yet in no way was it a continuation of the pre-war structure, but a body controlled by the Germans. West of the square there is an impressive church.
I recommend you this quarter at evening because this small restaurant, good pubs, it's very, very nice. It's from here is 20 minutes walk to the market square, so it's quite simple. At evening is very, very nice quarter. This was former ghetto, of course, but a lot of buildings was destroyed, of course.
Yeah.
Not always is original.
Yeah.
I show you the central place, the central square from ghetto, famous for the selection of the Jews.
Okay.
This small grey building is the original checkpoint to the ghetto. This small building. I'm going around this square, this Concord Square.
What are the chairs for?
Yes, with the chairs.
The Ghetto Heroes Square. The square was the centre of the Jewish ghetto during World War II. Here was the border. Facing the Vistula River, Ghetto A was on our left-hand side, and Ghetto B on our right-hand side. Here assemblies and selection of people took place. The square also witnessed cruelties which the Nazis performed on the Jews. In its present arrangement, the square is a monument which commemorates its tragic history. The monument consists of a group of metal chairs of different heights. Its designers were inspired by stories of the Germans throwing furniture out of the windows of Jewish flats. The elusive character of this meaningful work of art is a challenge for tour guides, as it cannot be explained literally. Rather, it is a poignant and poetic tribute to the lives so tragically and cruelly ended there.
Yes. To work
The
for
Pod
Oscar Schindler
Baldwin Pharmacy,
was a ticket
the
to
Eagle
paradise.
Pharmacy.
Yeah.
This was the only pharmacy in the ghetto which the Germans allowed out of fear of a typhus epidemic. From October 1941, it was open 24 hours a day. Its owner, pharmacist Tadeusz Pankiewicz, apart from providing Jews with medicines, also ran a contact box, a place of information exchange and shelter for Jews during arrests. 3 women from outside the ghetto who worked at the pharmacy served as an interface for the rest of the city. They distributed mail, organized medications, arranged for false identity papers that helped Jews to escape, and did shopping for them. Because of the location of the pharmacy on Skłodal Square, its staff witnessed the cruelest events of the ghetto. Pankiewicz described his experiences in a book titled The Pharmacy in the Krakow Ghetto. In 1983, a national memory museum on the fate of Krakow's Jews and the pharmacy itself was established here. It is visited in large numbers by tourists from all over the world. The museum has also been included in the curriculum by the Israeli Ministry of Education. Oskar Schindler. Oskar Schindler was born in Zwittau, now Svitavy, in the Czech Republic in 1908 into a family of wealthy merchants. In his youth, he joined the Nazi party NSDAP after the German invasion of Poland in 1939. He was one of the many entrepreneurs who looked for easy profit in the new territory. For little money, he acquired an ex-Jewish factory, Record, in Krakow and changed its name to Deutsche Emailwarenfabrik, the German enamelware factory. He employed 1,300 Jewish forced labourers. The year 1942, when the Nazis began the liquidation of the ghetto, was a turning point. As some sources indicate, the atrocities of the Nazis shocked Schindler. Using his contacts, negotiation skills and bribes, he decided to rescue his employees. Schindler secured an agreement with the commandant of the camp adjacent to the factory for 900 Jews to be transferred to the camp where they would be relatively safe. As the Russians drew nearer to Krakow, the camps were liquidated and the prisoners killed. That was when Schindler, together with his friend Itzhak Stern, made the famous Schindler's List,
He lived in Israel.
thanks to which he managed to transfer about 1,200 Jews to another factory in Sudetys, saving their lives. After the war, Schindler was honoured as one of the righteous among the nations. Today, he remains a symbol of selflessness and conscience. Oskar Schindler died of natural causes in 1974, and, according to his will, he was buried at a Christian cemetery at Mount Zion in Jerusalem. For many years, his grave has been a place of pilgrimage of the saved Jews and their descendants.
Sad, isn't it?
Schindler's story has been described in the novel Schindler's List
Israel.
by Thomas Keneally. In 1993, Steven Spielberg made Schindler's List, a movie based on the novel, which won 7 Oscars and 3 Golden Globes.
It's a new cemetery.
The New Cemetery. It is the only operational and at the same time the biggest Jewish cemetery in Krakow. It was established in 1800 on land bought from the Augustinians. Despite having been extended several times, the cemetery was completely filled in the interwar era. During World War II, it was devastated. The Nazis took the graves apart and used the gravestones as construction material. Some of them were taken to Płaszów camp, which was under construction, to pave the path to the camp office. The new cemetery was restored in 1957, thanks to the help of an American Jewish organization. On the right-hand side, in the place where once Jewish priests were buried, there is a monument to the memory of Jews who were murdered by Nazis,
So,
between
in the left
1939
side,
and
look, this
1945.
part of
It is
the
built
center.
from pieces of pre-war massey bars and gravestones.
Look this one. But from here is very, very. This is music. Okay? So we are going now to the altar. And on the right side, in front of us, is the biggest Polish bank. But it's closed. Why? I explain you. Because the
St Mary's Basilica. The Gothic triple-nave sacral building, erected in 1287 to 1320, with 6 chapels and 2 towers, is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful churches in Central Europe. The basilica was built in place of an older Romanesque building, which had been destroyed during Tartar raids. According to legend, the towers of St Mary's Basilica were being built by 2 brothers. One of the brothers killed the other more talented one. The tower of the killed brother remained unfinished and serves now as a bell tower. Since the 16th century, a trumpeter plays a tune on the hour called the Haynau from the higher tower, which measures 80 meters. There is a legend explaining the origin of the tradition. According to this, a watchman, having spotted Tartar hordes approaching the city, started playing the trumpet and managed to warn the dwellers in time. But before he finished the tune, an arrow pierced his throat. That is why the Haynau ends abruptly before completion. The semi-dark interior of the church is decorated with polychrome paintings of the starry firmament and has soaring stained glass windows. It is filled with precious works of art from various periods. The finest of all is undoubtedly the wooden altarpiece, carved in 1477 to 89 by Witt Bosch from Nuremberg. The altarpiece shows the scene of the death of the Virgin Mary in the arms of the apostles, along with other biblical scenes. It is the largest and the most magnificent altarpiece of this kind in Europe, and is considered to be the most valuable work of art, not only in Krakow, but the whole of Poland.
So, and the right side is our opera theater. The right side is the oldest Gothical church in Krakow. The oldest, not most beautiful, but the oldest Gothical church.
The Juliusz Słowacki Theatre. The theatre was built between 1891 and 1893 to a design by Jan Zawierski and modelled after the Paris Opera. The building is an exquisite example of eclectic architecture. The splendid facade is crowned with allegorical figures representing poetry, drama, comedy, music, opera and operetta. Soon after the opening, the Juliusz Słowacki Theatre obtained the status of a national stage and began to set trends in Polish modern drama.
Look at that.
The theatre boasts a famous curtain by painter Henryk Szemieracki, which is lowered only during the long interval.
Wow.
With this
Magnificent.
garden, yes, it's very, but inside it's wonderful.
Yeah,
It's
special.
so
Yeah, yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah. Well, if it's like that on the outside, it's... Yeah.
So, and in the left side, look, in the left side is the remain of the city wall. It's original part of the demolished city wall.
Oh, wow.
Remains of the city walls. The city walls
going to
date
run.
back to 1285, when, with the permission of
I
King Leszek
know.
the Black, construction began. The fortifications, together with a moat, surrounded the entire old town and had been extended many times over the centuries. At their largest, the walls had 47 towers. The preserved northern part of the walls,
47
with its
towers.
St. Florian's
47
Gate,
towers.
Wow, yeah.
4 towers, furriers, haberdashers, carpenters and
Demolished
woodsmen,
from
and the city arsenal
Austrian,
can still be admired today.
Austrian
The Barbican. It is the most precious monument of defensive architecture in Krakow and the most impressive building of its kind in Europe. The Barbican was the most important aspect of the northern part of the medieval city walls. It was built at the turn of the 15th and 16th
That's
centuries
impressive.
in order to strengthen the defence of the main entrance to the Old Town, St. Florian's Gate. The Barbican is circular in shape, with an inner diameter of about 24 metres and walls over 3 metres thick. This Gothic construction features over 100 firing ports lined at 4 levels and 7 towers, which were used to direct the fire. Defenders of the city used to guard this entrance, firing arrows,
The right
hurling
side,
stones, and pouring down
Academy
hot
of
pitch onto
Arts,
attackers'
the
heads.
best
The
Academy of
Barbican was
Arts in
additionally
Poland.
surrounded by a
Look at
moat,
that looks
which was
lovely.
over 20 metres wide
Lovely
and
square,
3.5
this one, yeah.
metres deep. The Grunwald Monument. On the 500th anniversary of the Grunwald Battle, a monument in honour of King Władysław Jagiełło was erected to commemorate the historic victory of the united Polish and Lithuanian forces over the Teutonic Order in one of the largest battles of medieval Europe in 1410. Apart from the figure of the king, the monument also consists of figures of Polish and Lithuanian knights, along with the figure of the fallen Grand Master of the Teutonic Order, Ulrich von Jungingen. Planty. This is a unique municipal park with a total length of 4 kilometres and an area of 21 hectares, encircling the old town with a green ring, the envy of other cities. The Planty was created in the 19th century in place of the demolished city walls. Previously it had been a marshy area, where municipal waste was disposed. The park features many species of trees, flowers and shrubs, which not only look beautiful, but provides a much appreciated garden-like atmosphere in the midst of the city. For many years, the Planty has been a location for open-air events and strolls.
It's very, very nice.
The Czartoryski
And the best
Museum.
hotel in Krakow.
It is one of the
Next
oldest
time,
and most
I
interesting
recommend you
museums in
French
Stay there.
French hotel.
boasting
Yeah, nice.
extensive collections of Polish and world art. The origins of the museum are connected to a private collection belonging to Princess Izabela Czartoryska,
This one.
which was exhibited in Puławy. After the fall of the November uprising, a large part of the collection was sent to Paris, forestalling the confiscation of the Czartoryskis' property by the Russians. In 1870, Prince
are the walls,
Władysław
yeah.
Czartoryski took efforts to move the collection to Krakow,
Beautiful, yeah.
where it finally arrived 6 years later. The museum was opened to the public at the turn of the century. The collections of the Czartoryski Museum include ancient art, 13th to 18th century European painting, relics of Eastern and European handicraft as well as militaria. The gems of the collection are Lady with an Ermine by the great master of the Italian Renaissance, Leonardo da Vinci, and Landscape with the Good Samaritan by Rembrandt.
In front of us, St. Mary's Basilica, and this is the main street, St. Florian Street, and St. Florian's gate, the main gate, medieval gate to the old town. The most elegant
St.
street,
John's Street.
St. John Street.
It is a beautiful and elegant street of palaces, once belonging to the aristocracy of the city, much quieter than the vibrant St. Florian Street. St. John Street owes its name to the medieval church of St. John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist. Nowadays, the ornate buildings house shops and art galleries, including one of the most renowned Polish satirists, Andrzej Mleczko.
So, and on the left side, the front of us is it's not sorry, something. It's cloth hall, yes, cloth hall. And in the first floor, I recommend you the most beautiful Polish painting gallery, and upstairs in this first floor. If you like to feel the heart of Poland, I recommend you this gallery. Okay. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Sukiennice, the cloth hall. In the second half of the 13th century, Bolesław the Chaste marked out an area of the main square for trading. The place was soon covered with 2 rows of cloth-selling stalls, marking the beginnings of Sukiennice. Merchants arrived there with carts full of various goods. Gradually, the stalls were converted into one large building, extended in the Gothic style by Casimir III the Great in the 14th century. After a fire in the 16th century, the hall was rebuilt in the Renaissance style, with the help of such Italian masters as Santigucci and Giovanni Maria Padovano. The most characteristic element of the new design, the parapet decorated with mascarons, had since influenced the architecture in Poland and adjacent countries. Nowadays, trade still flourishes in the cloth hall. There, one can buy typical souvenirs from Krakow, gifts, and most of all, beautiful amber jewellery and works of folk art. The first floor houses the gallery of 19th century Polish art.
The left side, in this part, in the corner from 1905, is the oldest and the best theater in Poland. This one. And in the left side, in front of us, is the Palace of Arts. It's very nice, this square, really.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The Palace of Art. The building erected at the beginning of the 20th century on the initiative of the Friends of the Fine Art Society in Krakow, architectonically represents the style of the Vienna Secession, with elements of classicism. The most renowned artists of Krakow participated in the decoration of the palace. The ornamented frieze around the building depicts the changeability of an artist's fortune and the hardships of the creative process. Apollo's huge radiant head tops the front of the palace above the monumental stairs. The building serves as an art gallery where famous Polish and foreign artists exhibit their work, and as an auction house.
This very
Collegium
beautiful
Maius. It is the oldest building of the
medieval
Krakow
court
Academy,
is
established
open
in
to 6 o'clock.
1364
Okay.
by Casimir the
entry is
Great.
here.
The school was then renamed the Jagiellonian University to commemorate the enormous input in its development from Queen Jadwiga and King Władysław Jagiełło. The Gothic-style building currently houses the Museum of the Jagiellonian University. The first floor of the building features impressive communal halls. The complex also includes a beautiful and unique courtyard with a centrally situated well.
Around the market square.
The precious exhibitions of Collegium Maius include astronomical instruments, a golden globe called Jagiellonian with an outline of America, and paintings by such Polish masters as Jan Matejko and Jacek Malczewski. The collections also feature many curiosities, like the honorary Oscar statuette received by the director Andrzej Wajda, and the enrollment document of Nikolaus Copernicus, one of the most renowned graduates of the university, along with Karol Wojtyła, later to become Pope John Paul II.
So,
Yeah,
nice,
beautiful.
very good. This is University, all buildings and other faculties. With monastery.
The Palace of the Bishops,
Very beautiful.
3 Franciszkanska Street.
This one, the right
Originally, the bishops of Krakow resided at Wawel, and the first mention of a bishop's residence in this place dates back to the end of the 14th century. Here in the Cardinal's Chapel, in the autumn of 1946, young Karol Wojtyła, who was later to become Pope John Paul II, was ordained by the Cardinal Prince Adam Stefan Sapieha. Later, as the Cardinal of Krakow, he lived and worked here between 1964 and 78. The west wing of the palace consists of living quarters, which have been left by the current Cardinal in an unchanged state, and look just like they did when Karol Wojtyła lived there. The Palace of the Bishops became famous also as the place where the Pope stayed during his pilgrimages to Krakow. From this window, he addressed the crowds after the official part of the pilgrimage, who gathered in the street and the nearby square, chanting his name. Collegium Novum. This neo-Gothic edifice is currently the main building of the Jagiellonian University and houses, along with lecture halls, the President's office and meeting rooms. It was built in the 1880s, replacing an academic boarding school founded by Jan Długosz in the Middle Ages. The front of the building features the coat of arms of the Jagiellonian University. The 5 huge windows belong to the main assembly hall.
Holy show from my
Paintings
comedy
decorating the interior include the famous Copernicus by Jan Matejko. It is worth noting that in this building, in room 56 on the 2nd floor, on the 6th of November 1939, Germans arrested 183 academics of Krakow's universities and sent them to concentration camps.
Okay, now.
This incident was known as Sonderaktion Krakow. Many of the arrested professors
Beautiful.
died in martyrdom.
Excellent. It's rectorate with Aula Magna.
Yeah.
Wawel Cathedral.
Wawel Cathedral.
Wawel Hill.
The present cathedral, which dates back to the 14th century, is a triple nave building with a transept and is surrounded by 3 towers: the Sigismund's Tower, the Clock Tower, and the Tower of Silver Bells. The Sigismund's Tower houses the most famous Polish bell called Sigismund, which tolls only at very special occasions. There are many legends connected with it. According to one of them, a girl who touches the heart of the bell will soon happily marry. Over the centuries, chapels and extensions were added to the cathedral, which has resulted in the building being a conglomeration of various architectural styles and represented by works of art of the highest artistic level. The cathedral was the place of coronation and burial of Polish rulers. The crypt contains tombs of kings from various times. The most beautiful chapels of the cathedral were used for royal burials, like the Sigismund's Chapel, called the Pearl of Renaissance north of the Alps, and the Świętokrzyska Chapel, a rare example of Eastern art. Many outstanding personalities have been buried in the crypt of the cathedral, like Adam Mickiewicz, Juliusz Słowacki, Józef Piłsudski, Tadeusz Kościuszko, and others. Queen Jadwiga, who used to pray here before the so-called Black Crucifix, one of the oldest ones in Krakow, is also buried in the crypt. The tombs contain also the grave of the Bishop of Krakow, St. Stanisław, the patron of Poland and the cathedral itself.
And I going around this quarter, around the old
So
town,
many nice buildings, isn't there?
to the center. I propose to listen some information about Royal Castle. So this is very interesting. And from here is the best view on the left side.
Wawel Hill.
Look in the left. But
The royal castle in Wawel Hill had been a seat of Polish princes and kings from the 10th to the 17th centuries. In the 14th century, an impressive Gothic castle and a cathedral were erected. In the 16th century, the residence was rebuilt by Sigismund I the Old into a splendid Renaissance castle of an equal artistic value to that of the finest European royal residences. The courtyard with arcade galleries was a place where court ceremonies, official receptions, parades and tournaments took place. Inside the castle, one can admire the walls with painted friezes, fine furniture, and beautiful paintings by outstanding masters. The most valuable masterpieces in Wawel are King Sigismund August's tapestries. The ground floor rooms house offices, storage rooms, courtrooms, an armory, the treasury, an exhibition including regalia, the coronation sword called Szczerbiec, and a collection of precious relics and handicraft. The chambers on the first floor were used as private apartments of the king and the royal retinue. The west room contains apartments for the queen and ladies-in-waiting. The second floor housed chambers used for receiving envoys and guests, among which the audience hall, Sala Poselska, deserves particular attention. The room features a unique wooden ceiling with carved heads of people of various classes and professions.
So behind the royal castle, near the river, is quite simple to find. We have a monument of drag,
Okay.
because it's our Loch Ness.
Okay.
The legend is very interesting. It's especially for ladies. Okay? Legend about our drag, especially for ladies.
The Dragon's Den. A legend recorded in the works of Polish chroniclers has it that a dragon once lived at the foot of Wawel, in a large cave in the limestone rock of the hill, and spread terror among the citizens, eating people and cattle. Many daredevils tried in vain to slay the monster. Finally, a dweller of the city, a shoemaker called Skuba, stuffed a lamb with sulphur and pitch and set it outside the dragon's cave. The dragon ate it and soon began to feel a burning fire in his stomach. He immediately started to drink water from the Vistula river. He drank and drank and drank and exploded. The shoemaker Skuba was given a well-deserved prize from the ruler. Today there is a sculpture of the fire-breathing dragon outside the cave. One can also visit the Dragon's Den, which is a considerable tourist attraction.
Yeah, he's just taking us to drop us off.
We are going. Do you remember the city walls?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know Krakow better than me now. It's beautiful, huh?
It is.
Very beautiful.
It's fantastic. So I recommend you to visit Salt Mine near Krakow.
Yeah,
It's wonderful,
yeah.
underground. It's, oh, I have audio guide about Salt Mine. Yes. It's 4 kilometers from Krakow with local train, 15 minutes. With
The
local
Wieliczka
train.
salt mine.
It's
Located
very
under the
beautiful.
nearby town of Wieliczka is the famous Wieliczka salt mine, which has been in operation since the beginning of Polish statehood. The size of the mine, available for tourists, is truly impressive. No wonder the town is referred to as the overground Wieliczka and the underground Wieliczka. The main tourist route includes 2 kilometers of corridors situated up to 135 meters underground and is full of attractions, like the spectacular St. Kinga's Chapel, the interior of which is made entirely of
Fantastic
salt.
trip. I
Due to
recommend
its unique character, Wieliczka salt mine is included in the UNESCO World Cultural and National Heritage List.